defense matters. If you don't think defense matters, then that stat tells it all. Highest ranked defenses, they win Super Bowls. They don't just get there, they win. Message to the New Orleans Saints. Hello. Ken Trahan, Brian Ellie Walsh, Ricky Jackson, sportsNOLAtv. Super Bowl 50, historic, MVPs galore at the game, and they witnessed an old-fashioned, in-your-face defensive battle. And the Denver Broncos, as an underdog, win convincingly, as it turned out, 24-10 over Carolina. Turnovers were a big story. Panthers with 4 of those, you can't win that way. Sacks were a big story, 12 in the game. Von Miller, phenomenal. 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 6 tackles, disruptive. And with DeMarcus Ware doing his thing on the other side, it was a nightmare for Mike Remmers and Michael Orr. They will remember this for a long time in the wrong fashion. Defenses, great. Team speed, great. Remarkable to see the game plan Wade Phillips put together and the way it was executed by the Denver Broncos. And on a personal note, we'll talk about Peyton Manning a lot. And we're very happy for him as well. We should be, and other people should be as well. But I'm equally as happy for Wade Phillips, who's one of the really good people in the NFL. Always has been, not only as a coach, which Ricky can talk about, but also in how he relates to the media, how he relates to people. He is a really good man who is very deserving. He was out of a job. He got a late call to come back to Denver as a defense coordinator. It's tough to be in that position, to be a guy that's been a head coach and has failed, and to be asked to come back kind of on your hands and knees and say, okay, I'll accept an assistant's job. He did his job to the best of his ability. The results are obvious. And Ricky, I'll go to you as a result. I know you know Wade Phillips very well. When you first got into the league, he was a guy you dealt with on defense. I know you respect him as a coach. You respect him as a person, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I respected his dad at first, you know, and his dad gave good, you know, okay to Wade, you know what I mean? And you can see a lot of his dad in him. And I'll tell you, man, Wade was like brothers coming up, you know what I mean? He's just like a big brother to me. And we had great times together and never had a word at each other. Wade is the type of guy that you can never get into it with him. He can always, you know, you right, and he gonna coach. And that's what everybody love about him. He's a great coach. And the thing about him, when he got to be a head coach, you know, and I know there's a lot of head coaches, they get assistant coach, they let them do their job, and Wade let his guys do their job, so it didn't work out well. But it's working out good for him and Gary.
He's a really good guy. Good guys can't finish first. Gary Kubiak is a good guy. And Brian, it's pretty interesting, if you recall, Kubiak was a finalist for the New Orleans Saints head coaching job when Jim Haslett was hired as the New Orleans Saints head coach.
Sure was. And what I think Gary's the first coach to win it as a player, now win it as a coach with the same team. And just to echo on Wade, I tell you what, the beautiful thing about Wade is if they could split up that MVP award, which went to Von Miller, deservingly so, Wade ought to get a piece of it, because what he did against New England and then come back 2 weeks later against the Carolina Panthers was just phenomenal.
Yeah, they drew it up beautifully and they executed, and we'll talk about how that happened, and Ricky can break that down. Let's take a look at some of the numbers from this game, because numbers were very revealing in this game. First of all, total yards. Denver won the game with 194 total yards. That has not happened before, under 200 yards. They won the game going 1 for 14 on third down, largely because they held Carolina to 3 for 15 on third down conversions. Denver had 11 first downs in the game. They were 1 for 4 in the red zone. Manning got sacked 5 times, and they won the game. It's remarkable, and that simply illustrates how good Denver's defense was, Ricky.
Yeah, I tell you, Denver got a great defense, and those two guys coming off the corner, Well and Miller, they make the whole difference. You know, I like inside linebackers, but I played outside linebacker, and I always put a whole lot into outside linebackers. But they can make plays, and you can see where they can get to the quarterback, and they can erupt the whole team. And, you know, inside guys, they can get interception, and sometimes they can cause a fumble. But when those guys come off that corner, those tackles can't handle them. They can make a lot of havoc.
Wade's game plan against New England was sit back, rush a conventional 3 or 4 people. Yesterday, 25 blitzes, and they got to him 6 times. 7 times total were sacks. And I'll tell you what, it was all about the outside pass rush, but those corners are 2 of the best in the league, 3 of the best in the league.
Ricky, what they were able to do is when they blitzed, they only blitzed 1, they rushed 5, and they played man-to-man behind it, convinced that Cam Newton couldn't be accurate enough, and he wasn't accurate enough. And when he was, they dropped a couple of balls as well.
Yeah, and yesterday it looked like they had the drops. But I'll tell you, Carolina didn't go with the quick passing game. They tried to sit back there for a long time like they were doing in the other games because the lineman's been blocking everybody all year. So, but they didn't realize that these guys who rushing now wasn't the same guys, and they needed to get rid of the ball quicker. But it came back to the receivers. You can see they don't have the top receivers. You can see that yesterday.
They could have used Calvin Benjamin yesterday. But look, they had a very good game plan. Stop the run, put Cam Newton in 2nd and long, 3rd and long. And when you bring those pass rushers, you know they're not going to run. You can stop it.
Well, we looked at some of the team stats, individual statistics defensively, incredibly impressive. Of course, when you talk about some of the numbers that these defenders put up, you can't help but be impressed. Von Miller, the MVP, well-deserved. 6 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. DeMarcus Ware, equally as good. 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 for losses, and he hit the quarterback 4 times. And Danny Trevathan, look, he was outstanding. 8 tackles, recovered 2 fumbles. On the other side, how about Coney Ealy? He would have been the MVP if Carolina had won the game. The guy had 3 sacks. He made an incredible interception, and he had a fumble recovery. And Luke Kuechly, he was just Luke Kuechly. Unbelievable pursuit to the ball. Big hitter, great player. So this is all about defense. You are salivating. I was watching the game, Ricky, and I was thinking about you.
And I'll tell you what, but Carolina defensive backs, they missed some interception that they should have had.
Right.
I mean, I just look at Norman, the way he should have intercepted the ball. That made the difference in the game. Carolina didn't make the plays, and Denver made the plays. So that made the whole difference in the ball game on defense.
Well, you know, Denver's defense was outstanding. Carolina played good enough defense to win the game. They didn't get any help on the other side of the ball.
No, and of course, when you look at Josh Norman, how good is he?
Yeah.
He took Thomas completely out of the game. I mean, he erased him basically in this game. And the couple of times that Manning tried to throw at him, as Ricky mentioned, he got his hands on balls. He's a tremendous football player.
Yeah, I mean, young too. I mean, and all these guys looking for a new contract. So I know one thing, all of them can't stay with the same team.
Well, you know what Denver did to Greg Olsen, and we know how important Olsen was to their offense. He had 4 catches for 41 yards, but he was not a factor. They just did a great job in coverage. They double, tripled, and they just took him out of being a safety net for Cam Newton.
Let's talk about the big animal in the room, and that's Peyton Manning, because he's been a topic on this show for a long time, and understandably so. Unbelievable career. I've got to believe it's over now. Oldest quarterback, Ricky, to win a Super Bowl. First starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl with 2 different franchises. That is so significant. And he's the first quarterback to win 200 games in NFL history. And oh, by the way, all the criticism he's gotten for the last 2 decades, the guy's a choke artist, he can't win. He's got a winning record in the postseason, a winning record. He's won 2 Super Bowls. Just shut up.
Well, I mean, he caught up with his younger brother. That's what I like about it. The younger brother had 2 already, so he had a little bragging rights around the house. Now, you know, Peyton done tucked that away from him. But, you know, I give Peyton a whole lot of credit. I mean, he hung in there yesterday. He made the throws that really took him down, you know, and I just say that like Cam Newton called him the chef. I mean, he just showed you yesterday. And then looking at some of the stories, how the young guy helped him out, rehab and stuff, that just show you what kind of quality guy he is.
Yeah, he had 2 drives, Brian. He had the drive to start the game and the drive to start the second half. So they came out fast and got some things done in any case. But listen, their offense was very limited. But he's limited at this stage of his career. Who in the world comes back at nearly 40 years old and plays with the kind of debilitating injury he has? This guy can't even feel the football to some degree. He's only got about 75% feel in his arm and hand.
And I'll tell you another thing, just listen at some of the medical records yesterday, how the doctor said he's going to need a hip replacement and stuff like that. I think that, you know, having a Super Bowl win, it'd be a good time for him to go out and enjoy his life a little bit before all this stuff go to happen.
You know what I liked about it as much was really throughout the week and then even after the game in victory, he was so humble, okay? And he understands what his role was on this team. Really, okay? I mean, I say a game manager. He ended up being that. But when you have a guy like him with so much experience, I want him managing my game. But he gave all the credit around him.
So, as a result, where is he all time in NFL history? From my perspective, he's top 3. In my holy 3 have to be, in no particular order, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. based upon what they accomplished, not just in Super Bowls, but over the course of their careers. Those are my top three. I have no problem with anybody else adding somebody else. We were talking off air earlier. Dan Marino, to me, is a top 5 guy, and he never won a Super Bowl. Rick?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's in my top 3. Matter of fact, I put Joe Montana first, and I put him and Tom Brady 1 and 1A, however you want to put them. But, I mean, he's right there with Tom Brady. I wouldn't put either one, you know, you can flip a coin on.
You have the same top 3 I have.
Right.
And I have the same top 3 as both you guys have. And again, I'm not going to put them 1, 2, 3 either, because you know what? When you get to that level, those are the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, and you can add whomever you want to fill it out. But what he's done in his 18, 17 complete seasons is just remarkable. And you said him eloquently, Kenny. Peyton Manning will go down as one of the top quarterbacks. If you want to argue where he stands, that's up to you. But he is unbelievable, and we're so happy for him to get that second one, because you know what it does? It makes that first one even more special.
And I'll tell you what.
It validates it.
All of us love Peyton, but I'll tell you what, we give Anquan Bolden credit too. He won the Walter Payton
absolutely.
Award, and
Absolutely.
you know, we had all New Orleans in that too.
Absolutely.
So
Well, good for him,
Yeah.
and good for Ben and for Eli as well. And Sports NOLA TV is presented by Toyota of New Orleans, 11801 East I-10 Service Road in New Orleans East, home of Toyota's President Award recipient and the #1 Toyota dealership in New Orleans in sales and in customer satisfaction. Toyota of New Orleans wants you to find your dream car. You can visit online at toyotaofneworleans.com or stop by today. Saints discussion next on Sports NOLA TV.